Sometimes in life, everything is about timing. Recently, I've been on what I call a severe losing streak in Street Fighter 4. I'm like 3-60 or something. It's pretty shitty. Playing that game now is just painful. It's like playing that game is like sitting on your own balls. If you've ever sat on your own fucking balls, it fucking hurts. You know, you get out of the shower. You know, the steam in the air and everything kind of let things expand a little bit, and you sit down on the edge of your bed, and then you're like, oh shit, I gotta get up, plug in my phone, whatever, and you start to stand up, and you kind of fall back because you didn't quite get your balance. Land on your fucking balls, it hurts, and that's what Street Fighter is right now. It's sitting on my own balls. So, rather than sitting on my balls again, I decided to pick up some new stuff with the money I got back from trading in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, just for a change of pace. And it was kind of neat because I realized at that point just how much pacing really kind of defines a game. You think like Tetris. It starts off really slow and then ramps up, and that tension builds, and that's great. You play like an FPS game, you know, you're playing Call of Duty and stuff, and it's constant just action, 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 and the adrenaline's just pumping the whole time, and that's really cool too. The two games that I picked up use pacing and momentum to express their points of view pretty well too, in very different ways. The first of the two games that I picked up was Warhammer 40k Space Marine. Came out a while back. I always thought of the Space Marines as like the most, kind of generic all-purpose characters in the 40k universe, They were good at everything, but they didn't really excel at anything. They could shoot, but they weren't like Eldar. They could do hand-to-hand stuff, but they weren't like just a total infantry force, kind of like orcs or Nids or what have you. They were basically Mario in Super Mario Brothers 2. He could do everything well, but he wasn't the best at anything. Maybe these guys are good at vehicles, but never really cared for them. But playing this game, I got a much better feel for the combat, I guess, for a Space Marine. The environment's really cool. It's a third-person action game, and so there's a lot of run and gun, but there's also a lot of kind of personal stuff. It's right there in front of you. I haven't played too far in. I think I'm still probably in the first real stage, but you do get to see some interesting flow. There's a lot of shooting combat where you just bam, 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 ranged combat the whole time, just waves and waves of orcs coming at you, and eventually you don't have enough bullets. They're just getting past, and then it's time to break out the fucking chainsword and do straight up hand-to-hand melee combat. Really neat. It's a pretty good game. Where the pacing falls, though, where it starts to suck, is strangely enough, is being forced to redo certain things over and over again when you die. I guess that's not uncommon in a lot of games, but it seems like the checkpoints are about 20 feet too early or 30 seconds too early. There's why should I have to get the same power up, then go open up a door to get into combat and walk through that same sort of brief cinematic or what have you? Why not just, get the power up, open the door, make that the checkpoint, so if you die and you have to start over, you don't waste that 30 seconds or so just getting shit and then opening the door. You're just right there for the combat. It happened several times already. Again, I'm not that far in, but it happened several times already. And I'm honestly surprised it didn't come up during playtesting as a complaint. Aside from that, it's a pretty game so far. The other game I picked up is Catherine. Yes, this is the game with Trisha, the Midnight Venus, that the attractive cosplayer that I mentioned recently dressed up as. And while that was an influence in the purchase, it was not the sole reason I got the games. Yeah, it was just a bit of it. George and I had downloaded the demo last year. This game's a year and a month old. Well, downloaded the demo and tried it. Didn't really care for it. The play, the actual puzzle portion, the gameplay, pretty bland. It wasn't anything great. So I just kind of ignored it. I hadn't watched any anime for years. I hadn't really been into it. but there's something about this art style that was intriguing. I'm like, you know, I wish I could get in this game. It just wasn't something that didn't capture my attention. But apparently, when I picked it up, I realized that the game took people like me into consideration. The people who don't really care about the puzzle aspect of this game, excuse me, but who are more interested in the story. Easy mode in this game specifically says, you know, if you don't really care about the puzzles and you just want to play through the story, choose easy mode. I'm like, really? That's a choice? Is just to play easy so you can go through the story mode? Which is pretty fucking cool. You know, I play most every game in just normal. Because that's the way it's supposed to be played. That's the way the story's supposed to go. It's not obscenely challenging, not obscenely easy, but I dropped to easy just for this game because all I really care about is the story aspect of it. The puzzle towers, don't really care. But story-wise, so far, man, it is delivering. It's really cool. There are so many great things about the flow, the pacing, the rhythm of the game, and a lot of them are strictly mechanical. Not even story-wise, it's mechanical. For example, during the scenes when you're in the bar, the Stray Sheep or whatever, the pizzeria, the main character, he's there, and it seems like how the camera is positioned at an angle where it almost feels like you're observing from a nearby booth. You're kind of watching, listening in. And from the angle, you have limited camera control. Like, you can just move it a little bit around in this sort of halo around the actual focal point. It's weird because it forces you to focus on the people in front of you. It's like you can't look away. And also, it makes you feel kind of claustrophobic. You feel trapped. You know, you are in a situation you can't get out of. And both of those things, even, you know, again, the brief portion I played so far, they tend to repeat throughout the game, that feeling of being trapped by circumstance. Another great mechanic is the morality meter. And, you know, I know a ton of games have these sorts of things where you play through Fable, and, you know, if you're killing all the little kids, eventually you're turned evil. You know, you play through, and or you go through like Mass Effect, where you've got decision trees, where like, how do you answer, you know, hey, you're awesome, and it's good to see you, you're a fucking dick. You know, it's just no subtlety at all to your choices. It's either good, neutral, bad, just clear as day. But this game, it's different. It really does add a lot of subtlety to that. There are a couple different ways. Instead of giving questions that, you know, give you a definite, you know, hey, is it good to kill kids? You know what's good and what's bad. This game gives you ambiguous questions. It's like, do you think that life begins or ends at marriage? When you get married, would you want a younger or older spouse? And you're like, is there I guess you can kind of see what you're supposed to. It's not as clear-cut good and evil. And other times in the game, especially when you're hanging out there at the bar, you'll get little text messages that pop up on your phone, and you check it out, and instead of having a one-sentence answer, since you're sending back a full text, you can actually send these 3 or 4 line responses. And each one, you have like 3 or 4 choices how you're going to do it. And it's not the sort of clear-cut, good, bad, whatever. It's like there was a question where I was responding back to my girlfriend character, Catherine, or what have you, and the last sentence in the 4-sentence phrase, in the 4-sentence, or I guess response, was either good night or drive home safe, okay? I'm like, neither one of those is a bad response, but based upon the first 3 sentences I put in there and that one, somehow my little morality meter tipped a little bit towards the bad side. And I'm like, I didn't think I did anything, you know, I said anything rude. That's the kind of things I would send back myself, and so maybe I'm going to learn a bit about myself and how I communicate with folks. But it was pretty cool. It's actually one of the few games that I've had a dream about. Certain games, Tetris Attack, Puzzle Fighter, those I've had dreams about because, I don't know, the sort of beta state you get into and it just kind of gets into your head, and you can actually see that shit in your sleep. The other one, Portal, I actually had a vague sense of paranoia for about 2 weeks after playing through Portal, which was awesome. Well done. This game, after the first day of playing it, the first night, I actually had dreams of similar to the character situation, you know, where holy crap, what just happened? You cheated on your spouse or what have you, and all these things are out of your control. So yeah, it's a pretty good game. So I think I'm going to bounce back and forth between these two games for a while before heading back to Street Fighter. Maybe giving myself an opportunity to have a fresh look at Street Fighter. It will help me out. Sometimes a change of pace really is a good thing. I'll talk to you guys later.